Chargers need to roll out, and they need to roll out nationwide and quickly. But now that we have the North American charging standard, it can actually happen, and all cars can use all chargers. But what does that mean, and who's actually getting money to build them? I've got Larry Goldberg here at Tesla Larry to help us discuss it. I'm Brian. Welcome to Futuraza. Larry, so good to get you on. We've talked a couple times, and welcome.
Really good to be here. Thanks for having me, Brian.
Yeah, I got to meet Larry briefly in Texas at the Cybertruck delivery after party. Such a chaotic day, so much going on, so many
Yeah,
amazing people there. It was just a whole lot of fun.
it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. If you guys get a chance to go to events, please do. And then, of course, we've got the story we're talking about. Tesla enters the mainstream as it embraces the charger money. Um, Tesla has been awarded 13% of the award so far. What do you make of this? What's going on here? Is this good? Is this bad? Is this nothing?
Well, Tesla is getting the more than its fair share. I mean, in terms of the total bidders, it's getting a larger allocation than most. And the reality is Tesla's chargers are less expensive, less capital. They're more productive than the other chargers. And so, from a value statement point of view, there's no doubt that the federal government is doing the right thing by allocating to Tesla the number that they're allocating. And the other thing is, Tesla have really got this thing automated, and the chargers are highly, highly reliable compared to all the other chargers. I mean, in absolute terms and compared to the other chargers. So, yeah, and if they're getting the bulk of the money, they absolutely deserve it. And I would have thought they would have got more, but federal government has got to be very, very cautious about how it allocates.
And that is all true. They are the largest single contractor in terms of awards, but these awards are rolling out very slowly, painfully slowly. And a
Yeah.
lot of the problem can come down to even just the logistics on the ground of getting enough juice out to the location where you want to build. And so the fact that they've only got 13% and it's only $17 million is a little discouraging, but they are so far the number one. The production, if I wanted to build EV chargers, theirs seems to be the best strategy out there. Can you tell me what it is?
Well, firstly, Tesla's, in terms of Tesla's installation process, the chargers come fully assembled on a base. They're installed in a matter of days. I mean, they actually, between the time of after all the planning is done and all the appropriate licenses are gained and permissions and approvals, the actual time to install these superchargers is incredible. Now, they have to link to the grid, and then that has to be approved, and that has to be inspected, and that takes time. But Tesla can do this in weeks compared to months and sometimes years for some of the contractors. So if I'm going to do something in my shop and I'm going to put some charges out there, I'm going to call TSLA. That's going to be my call.
And for those who don't know, I imagine most people watching this do know, but Tesla makes prefab chargers. They come out on the back of a flatbed semi trailer. And if the site is prepped and ready, we've seen time lapse videos of them doing it in a day. One day it's not there, and one day it is. Uh, and that is the reason, by the way, it's so difficult now. I had asked, I got to meet with the director of the Northwest Region Supercharger installation. He was a guest speaker at one of our Tesla Owners Club meetings. And he was asked, why aren't there more chargers in the city? And he said, the first problem is they're very hard to put inside of a parking garage because you don't have the clearance to bring in a crane to offload these, and then running power through an existing structure is not always as easy. And really, this is more the supercharger network is more meant for people who can't charge at home or who aren't at home. And if your home doesn't have that, it's take it up with your landlord, I guess. Maybe ask your city to take some initiative. So what we've got here is Tesla's taking a different tack than other firms. First, it's proposing bigger stations that are bigger than what other companies are building, and it's building those stations at much lower costs. While Tesla's only got 17 million to build 41 stations, the next closest bidder is at 30 million, which is more dollars to build fewer stations. It's almost twice as much money to build just fewer stations. That's
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible that any of these other bidders are getting any money at all. I mean, the value statement of Tesla is not only that they're less expensive. That's just kind of one aspect, but they're much more efficient. Tesla chargers have got an incredible reputation for uptime, and all the other charger companies have got a really poor reputation for that uptime. So it just makes no sense. If I'm going to put in chargers, I'm going to put in a Tesla charger.
yeah. And another thing, and I don't remember if it was in this article or a different one, but they were saying that the contractor's required to pay at least 20% of the total cost. And it appears that Tesla's strategy is to pay only 20% of the cost, while some of the other companies will cover 30, 40, 50%. And I don't think that's because those companies are generous. I think it's because there's a cap on how much you can ask for, and they've
Yeah,
already hit that cap. So
the
they
difference in cost, yeah, is tremendous, incredible.
And the plan is to have 500,000 stations. I assume they don't mean stations, but individual
Posts, yeah.
posts by 2030. And this is, boy, this is just going so gosh darn slow. What do you think the delay is?
You know, it's the government. They're here to help. I mean,
You
it's
got a
just going
sense of humor, Larry. I appreciate it.
to it's just going to take time to ramp it up. And you know, here's the problem: these other companies are just not geared for bulk or the kind of volumes that the government are looking for. And so Tesla are having to scale back its asks because the government just cannot afford to give all of it to Tesla. So that's just the reality. Not whether it can afford to or can't afford to, just doesn't, it's not policy to do that. So we're in this, you know, let's just call it federal government contracting hell. And that's what it is.
Yeah. It's always going to be difficult. And whether that's the federal government with getting the grants allotted, or the state governments who are actually managing most of it, or the local governments approving the permits and getting the power out there to turn them on in the first place, it can be complicated. The first priority is to build a network of charging stations at 50-mile intervals along major highways. That's where Tesla stations will be built. And most highways already have Tesla stations everywhere. They're not open to all vehicles yet, but they will be soon. Within a year, I think, is the plan. And of course, everybody has to throw in Tesla has no PR department, so did not respond to a request for comment on the story. Welcome. I'm glad you've caught up with us, everybody. And apart from, I mean, there's only a couple factors that matter to me as a consumer. And one of them is, does it work and is it fast? And I think we can agree that with Tesla, they have the clearest advantage of anyone.
You know, the horror stories one hears about EVs on the open road on road trips really are all about non-Tesla vehicles. I mean, some journalists who are openly anti-Tesla, I've read them writing about, oh, I begrudgingly have to admit that if you've got a Tesla, you don't have a problem. So it's just shameful what's happened. I wrote a piece about a year, almost a year ago now, where I actually looked at the economics of supercharging, and in that piece, I point out that not only is Tesla's capital cost of a post dramatically lower than the others, it is also dramatically higher throughput and reliability. And so when you get better for less and it's reliable and they have the ability to churn them out at volume, then it just makes no sense at all going with the opposition and going with somebody else. But it's the federal government, so they have to spread the largesse, and we do know that currently this administration is not very friendly towards Tesla, is I guess the way to put it.
That is a very delicate way indeed. Uh, I would say some of the claims of how well Tesla's treated are, in my opinion, sometimes overstated. The battles Tesla's had with the government agencies has lasted longer than this administration. It's been going on since the very beginning, and I don't know. Uh, I don't know the solution to it, and that's why I'm not in politics. I like to deal with things that are material and factual, and and actually can get done. Another thing I have been asked a number of times is why doesn't Tesla go out and upgrade all of their 150 kilowatt chargers to 250s? And in most places, the answer is there's not enough juice from the street. They couldn't just increase them all like that. It wouldn't. There would be more steps involved than just replacing the individual charging posts, as it were, to get that done. Um, do you think a lack of chargers is a big problem for EVs generally? I mean, obviously, for cars that are not able to use the Tesla network yet, that is a problem. In the next year or two, that will change. If everybody can use them and the pace grows, even just as it has over the last few
Mm.
years, do you think it's a big obstacle to adoption right now?
No, I've done 4 road trips in the last 2 years across the country. So I live in North Carolina. I've been to Los Angeles, to the California and the Yellowstone once, Yosemite once, and then to Boca Chica and Austin twice. And I have had no problems at all. I mean, the worst is when you get into the Utah national parks and around the Grand Canyon and so on. And even there, I didn't have a problem. And I'll tell you what's really good is the many hotels now have got the charges. What do they call the
Destination.
destination? Thank you. The destination charges. It's my age, but come on. Anyway, but those destination charges are really a blessing. And it's so easy to find them on the Tesla map. I'm hoping that Tesla is going to share that, functionality with all and I know that Ford have already said that they're including that in their app, and I guess they're getting that in an API from Tesla. So no, I don't think it's a problem if you can use the Tesla network. Now, will it overwhelm the Tesla network when all of these guys come on, step by step by step over the next 2 years? It all depends on how quickly Tesla continues the rollout. And the rollout's going pretty well. I have to say, they're keeping up with what I had anticipated to be the speed. And even though the government's not financing, 80% of what they're doing, 90% of what they're doing, it's growing at a heck of a rate.
Yeah. And I would agree. The road trips I've done, in all my travels, in all my places, in all my stops, and I've been with people, every time I'm on the road, if I'm not in my Tesla, I'm in someone else's.
Right.
I think I have waited for charging once at one location for about 3 minutes.
My
I've waited,
experience.
I've waited longer than that at Costco to get gas.
Oh
And
yeah.
I haven't, because my time is worth more than the $2 I would have saved. But for a lot of people, it is not. It is worth saving. And I would say to those people, if you're really excited about saving $2 a fill up, baby, have I got news for you. This is going
Right.
to change your world here. So, guys, in the comments, what do we miss? What do we misunderstand? How good or bad are the chargers where you live? And if charging is not something you have at home, do you have a plan that would actually even work for your use case as of today? Let us know. If you get a chance, go follow at Tesla Larry. He's a lot of fun and a great guy. And we learn good stuff when we're together. So, everybody else, like, subscribe, do the usual things, and stay tuned, stay juicy. And I cannot wait to hear from you, clever robots, when I get Larry back for another little bit of wisdom.